If you own a home in Hamilton, Ontario, I need you to listen to me very carefully. Turn off the news, turn off the national headlines. Across Canada right now, the housing conversation sounds reassuring. You're hearing that markets are stabilizing. You're hearing that prices have corrected. You're hearing that the worst is behind us. And if you look at the entire country from far away, that story feels comforting. It feels safe. But when you zoom in locally, right here in Hamilton, in Ancaster, in Dundas, there's a much quieter and much more time-sensitive reality forming. It's not making headlines yet. It's not about market crashes. It's not about panic selling. It's about timing.
The majority of Canadians with a mortgage haven't actually seen any change to their monthly payments. There's a couple of reasons for this. One, more than half have a fixed rate. I have a fixed rate. It's only when my 5-year mortgage contract expires that I have to take a new higher rate. And you know what? More than 3/4 of all mortgages in Canada are coming up for renewal end of 2026. Again, I'm part of this group, and it's a little unusual to have that many mortgages renewing in the same short period of time. Except it makes total sense because most Canadian mortgages are on either 3 or 5-year terms, and 3 to 4 years ago, it was a very ideal time to buy.
Back then in 2020, 2021, even into the beginning of 2022, we saw these historic low interest rates, and people were taking out loans then and taking out bigger loans, right?
Specifically, it's about the gap between what your mortgage looked like 3 years ago and the letter you're about to get in the mail from your bank. In Hamilton, we're seeing a wave of quiet distress building. And the heartbreaking part is this: many homeowners don't realize what's happening until the bank is already involved.
This building was supposed to be Dimitri Bazios' retirement plan. Instead, it could force him into bankruptcy.
It's causing stress and distress and misery.
In 2020, Bazios and his wife put down a deposit for a 600-square-foot condo valued at $884,000. But as interest rates rose and the condo market fell, keeping the property became impossible. The Bazios couldn't close on their condo, and it was recently sold on assignment for $590,000. They're now on the hook to cover the difference.
And now I have a mortgage on this property for $300,000, and I don't own it.
The Bazios story is becoming more common in markets where sales have plummeted. Condo sales were down 21% in the second quarter compared to the year before, with many forced to sell their units at a loss.
This isn't about panic. This isn't about bad decisions. This isn't about people being reckless with money. It's about timing. And it's about a system that changed the rules while you were still playing the game. Over the last few years in Canada, the rules around lending quietly shifted beneath our feet. Interest rates moved faster than anyone expected. Stress tests tightened. Renewal requirements became more rigid. Most homeowners never felt this change immediately. Why is that? Because your payments stayed the same. Your mortgage still looked manageable on paper. Life continued as normal. You went to work, you paid your bills, you took your kids to hockey, but those changes don't show up at purchase. They show up at renewal.
All those people who got in when the going was good, every single Canadian with a mortgage from that record low rate era is going to see their payments shoot up. How much depends on when exactly their renewal date falls and how much the Bank of Canada can cushion the fall by lowering rates. But pretty much everyone agrees if you're paying under 3% interest right now, I'm among those people, your monthly payments are going up when you renew, and not by a small amount.
Like, are we going to see rates come all the way back down to the kind of very low levels that we saw during the pandemic or before the pandemic? I think the answer is no.
Those renewals are now arriving. What we're seeing isn't people defaulting overnight. We're seeing responsible households running into math that no longer works the way it used to. Your income didn't change, your spending didn't change, but suddenly your payment jumps. Your equity is thinner than you expected, and your refinancing options are smaller than you were told they would be. That margin of safety you thought you had, it's gone. This is where the sleepless nights start. This is where the quiet conversations happen after the kids go to sleep. And this is where power of sale conversations begin. Not with missed payments, not with eviction notices, but with quiet lender discussions that most homeowners never expect. And I need to say this clearly again. Many homeowners don't realize what's happening until the bank is already involved.
Right now, I'm looking at the renewal rates. So that's going to be like bringing my payments 30 to 40% up.
I don't see how I'm going to be able to renew and afford this.
According to the Bank of Canada, a 30% increase like that is actually on the low end of what many of these mortgage holders can expect. If you took out a mortgage a year or two later in 2020 or 2021, for example, you could be looking at paying like 50, 60% more. Now, maybe you're thinking, but what about all the people that took variable rate mortgages, which rise and fall in real time with the prime rate? So they've already been stretching their budgets, and there's no impending disaster for them, right? Well, not entirely. There is one group of mortgage holders the banks and the government are particularly worried about, and it's not the fixed rate holders. It's the variable rate holders with fixed monthly payments. And that's actually most variable rate holders in Canada.
This is important. About 65% of them, 70% of them have not noticed any radical increase in their payment because their mortgage company sold a product where the payment did not go up when prime went up.
Their payment did not go up when prime went up. That's the important part to understand, because it means you might have people ultimately paying more without even realizing it. Think of it this way. This circle is your $2,200 a month mortgage payment. At a relatively low interest rate, depending on the overall size of your mortgage, that might mean $900 of that payment is just servicing interest, with the other $1,300 actually paying your loan back. As the interest rate rises, maybe now instead of $900 a month, it's $2,100 a month in interest. But your contract says your total payments stay the same, so you're still paying $2,200 a month, meaning only $100 of those $2,200 are actually paying down your loan. At that point, I have news for you. You're very close to being underwater, stuck in a perpetual state of paying down a loan where you're only barely paying down that loan. Welcome to lifelong debt.
That doesn't mean you failed. It means the system moved faster than most people anticipated. Hamilton isn't unique in this, but it's exposed to it because Hamilton attracted peak era buyers, because Hamilton attracted investors, because Hamilton offered entry prices that encourage people to stretch. That combination worked when rates were low. It becomes fragile when they aren't. My goal here isn't to alarm you, it's to give you clarity, because the biggest risk for Hamilton homeowners right now isn't market headlines, it's waiting too long to understand where you stand. When homeowners understand their position early, they usually have choices. They can plan, they can adjust, they can act on their own terms. When they wait, decisions begin happening without them. This conversation is about awareness, because in a market like this, information early equals control. Information late equals pressure. To understand why this is happening in Hamilton, you need to understand how power of sale actually works in Ontario. This is the part nobody explains until it's too late. In many parts of North America, especially the United States, people hear the word foreclosure and assume it takes years. They imagine judges, courtrooms, long delays. Ontario works differently. Here, the lender usually doesn't need the courts. They use a process called power of sale. Power of sale is written directly into most Canadian mortgage agreements. It gives the lender the right to take control of the property and sell it on the open market if the borrower defaults. There are notice periods. There are timelines. But the most important thing to understand is speed. Power of sale moves faster than most homeowners expect because it happens outside the court system. It often starts with a notice of sale. Once that notice is issued, a clock starts ticking. That redemption period is often just over a month. That's not years. That's barely time to breathe. And this is where many homeowners get caught off guard. Power of sale doesn't begin when a for sale sign goes on your lawn. It begins earlier. It begins with letters, with requests for updated financial information, with renewal discussions that feel routine at first. Then the tone changes, the emails get shorter, the phone calls get more frequent. Now I want to slow this part down. If you're feeling a tightness in your chest hearing this, you need to know something important. This isn't your fault. If you're worried about your renewal, or if you've already had a difficult conversation with your lender. You haven't failed. You didn't make a bad decision. The Canadian housing market shifted faster than anyone predicted, including the Bank of Canada. Smart, responsible families in Hamilton are feeling this uncertainty right now. Not panic, not crisis, just uncertainty. That's completely normal. Most people I speak to in Hamilton, doctors, teachers, tradespeople, are asking the same quiet questions. What is my house actually worth today? What happens at renewal? How much flexibility do I really have? Those aren't fear-based questions. They're responsible ones. The problem is most homeowners wait to ask them until timelines start shrinking, and many homeowners don't realize what's happening until the bank is already involved. That isn't because they ignored the situation. It's because no one explained the steps clearly early enough. This is where clarity matters. Before you sell, before you refinance, before you talk to a lender, you need to understand how value works in this market. What actually increases it, what doesn't, and what timing mistakes cost homeowners the most money. That's why I created a free guide specifically for Hamilton homeowners. It's called 7 Simple Ways to Increase Your Home Value. This guide is about more than increasing value. It's about preserving equity. It isn't theory. It isn't market hype. It isn't sales talk. It's a practical breakdown of what buyers are responding to right now in Hamilton and how to protect your value if you decide to sell later. This is for homeowners in Hamilton. In today's Canadian market, if your mortgage is renewing soon, if you're unsure what your next move should be, or if you just want to understand where you stand so you can sleep better at night, this guide is your next step. You don't need to commit to selling. You don't need to make a decision today, but you do need information before decisions get made for you. If you want the guide, click the link below this video or message me directly and ask for it. I'll send you the guide free, no obligation, no pressure follow up, just clear information. So you can make smart decisions early, on your timeline, not the bank's. That's how homeowners protect value in markets like this. Not by reacting late, but by getting informed early. Get the guide, read it, and then let's talk when you're ready.